I am Doug Friedman.
And I am Meredith Levy. And this is
Your Mental Breakdown,
the podcast.
And we are your co-hosts and people that know each other so much we wind up talking for an hour before recording.
Every time.
Every time. Like, no wonder it's always late.
Can't help it. We love each other.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, so the other day I got, do you know what Oculus is?
Yeah, the like virtual reality thing.
Yeah. How does everyone know this? So never ever in my life have I done a virtual reality thing. I've never put one on. Nothing, have had no experience with it. But some of my friends and some of my clients have been talking about this Oculus thing and how it's like there's like a lot of amazing active things. So it's like amazing workouts. And I was like, that's cool. Okay, I'm going to try it. So I ordered it. It is the coolest, craziest thing. And it's just the whatever head thing or whatever, and two controllers. That's it. It doesn't connect to your computer, nothing. So there's a boxing one, and it is so crazy. I put it on. I looked down, my hands were gloves. There is a ref. There's this guy who I'm boxing with I had to stop the boxing one because I felt like I was actually getting hit. Like, he's so close. The guy is so close. I was like, what the fuck? And then I did this other one that's like, you look down and your hands or your arms are these like lightsaber kind of things or bats or whatever. And these things fly at you and you like have to smash them. But while you're doing it, you're basically doing a lot of squats and lunges and like, I did it yesterday and today my legs are so sore. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is genius. And there's like golf and there's all these other, like, there was a Snoop Dogg and 2 Chainz concert that was like a real concert.
The motion on it is incredible.
Oh my God.
A few years ago, me and a few friends that we all went to school together. We went to do the virtual reality Star Wars thing that they had one down in Santa Monica. So we went down and they suit us up. They put the goggles on us and full like headgear almost.
Yeah.
But we're wearing these vests and they give us these guns, like the controllers are just like guns, or taser, whatever they use. I don't know. And they're kind of prepping us and they send us out and we actually walk like into a spaceship. We're wearing the goggles, so we're not walking into a spaceship. I'm sure we're just walking into the next little room. It's probably one big, giant warehouse space.
Oh, right.
Because everything that you're seeing isn't really there.
Right.
But because you're wearing these vests and they will vibrate if you get hit with a laser or something, right? So we're in the little transport thing and like the main like Star Wars person is like, all right, listen, Red Squadron, you're going in and you need to make sure that this and this is happening. And this is, and as he's instructing us, I just want to check it out. So I shoot one of my buddies next to me. I was like, whoa. And I'm kind of going, wow, you can feel the gun shooting. He's like, yeah, you just shot me. And we're in the transport and we just kept shooting each other because it was so much fun to feel it. Like
crazy.
Yeah. So crazy. And then it kind of brings us out. We get out of the transport. Now we're in like the main, it's still like a video game, right?
Right.
But it's very realistic and it's as realistic as being in Star Wars can be. But it was so much fun and so bizarre. And when we finished and you take the thing off and you kind of look around, you go, wait, we're just in this room? No way.
It's crazy. Yeah, you guys, if you have any fun VR stories, let us know. I definitely kept hitting things in my house though. And then I went outside. I was like, I gotta go outside for this. Yeah, I keep wine glasses away from my laptops now because I spilled a big old glass of red wine once in a laptop. That was it. I was like, well, I'm not like a NASA scientist. There's really nothing that important on here that I can't live without. I stuck the whole thing in a thing of rice and I was like, nope, that didn't work.
The laptop?
Yeah.
Wow. And still, when you type documents, it came out a little slurred.
Oh my God, that's so good, Doug. You're so witty.
Oh, speaking of witty. So witty. Yep, indeed. We will get to hear the wit of Drew coming at you in a second. We will be here for you, as always, at the end to break it down. Stick around, listen up. Choice is yours. Don't be late. Nirvana lyrics, if anybody remembers.
Yeah. Okay. We'll be back.
Crazy. This is the new normal. I had a little meltdown yesterday when I was moving. There's nothing going on down here right now. Like, there is nothing for me to like necessarily stay for other than I enjoy it. And I have my new foundation is down here at this point. So I don't really want to leave yet, but I'm kind of in that same mindset of like, well, why am I here?
I mean, why am I here and how do I want to be? There's a book called Fire in the Belly by this guy named Sam Keen. He said there's 3 questions you have to ask yourself. The first is, who am I? That's the bigger one. But the next 2, you have to get in the right order. It's, where am I going and who am I going there with? And when you get them in the wrong order, it messes you up.
Yes. And it's crazy you just said that. I was just scrolling through Instagram and it said, always choose change and growth over company or something like that. And it kind of hit me too, because it was like, damn, in my own life, you know, like old girlfriend. Once I got past that, the change and the growth in that for me was probably more than I've grown in that short amount of a time, more than ever. But I also had to do it alone, which was like that sucked.
Doing anything with a partner often feels like an adventure. Doing it alone feels like a challenge. That will go back to that first question, who am I? Because if who I am is only defined by who I'm with, then we need to strengthen that a little bit.
Yeah. I totally feel that. And I think that's kind of where I'm working on. I've always been codependent on almost everything in my life. And now I think I'm figuring out more. I mean, I call it self-confidence, but who I am, I think they go hand in hand.
How so?
I think I'm a lot stronger when I know who I am, and that allows me to be confident in that.
As I've known you, who you are is often defined by how people see you, how useful I am to them, not necessarily who and how I actually am.
Yeah, I think I let that get to me a little bit yesterday, actually, as I was moving out of my apartment. And I recognized it, you know, I definitely recognize, like, I'm putting my worth in what other people think about me, not in what makes me happy. Because I love my new apartment. I love it. I still feel uneasy when I tell people where I live.
There's something about how I would present it to people that I still feel like they might judge, or like you don't own it yet.
I mean, I think it goes back to my facade of the clothes and the haircuts and the tattoos and all of that. I played into that facade really, really well, and it kind of painted my picture for me of like, look, I really am doing what I'm saying I'm doing. And it's not to say that I'm not doing what I'm doing. I mean, I'm very happy with what I'm doing as far as work. And I think it's more so my phase 1 of meeting people, of trying to be a chameleon and who I think they want me to be. And I think I discredit myself with this automatically, like right off the start, because it's not where I want to be. I consider it kind of like the starting spot. I'm getting caught up in the materialistic part of it, I think.
One of the first things you told me about was like, yeah, I'm trying to roll like these $500 dinners with people on $100 a week budget. Can't do it. And there was a materialistic aspect to almost everything around you.
Right.
And one thing you've, I think, been able to do is be authentic and present your authentic self to people. Yet there's still something that's not allowing you to be authentic. No, you don't have a house in the Hollywood Hills with an infinity pool. You're not rolling in Malibu with your 5 cars. Okay, but what are you?
I'm happy. I got a good support system around me. I've been a lot more focused on the people around me and who they are and why they're in my life and the importance of that. I fully believe where my heart of heart is in people and in relationships. But then my mindset is in money and clothes and cars and driving 5 cars in Malibu and, you know, all of that. I'm trying to navigate why I'm so caught up in materialism when at the end of the day, I don't care about it. Like, I really don't give a shit, but I do.
Do you have to not be materialistic in order to be genuine? Does it have to be one or the other?
No, and I think I did a really, really good job of doing that in the beginning of all of my fashion career. I wore nice clothes because my parents supported that, and my mom would give me a lot of money to go buy clothes. So that was my love language, and so I would almost portray it like I'm wearing my love in my clothes, and when people would recognize it, it would make me feel good.
At the root of it is owning it. Maybe it's just going, right, here's where I am. Here's what I'm doing. Here's where I'm at. Yeah, I like to wear nice things. It's fashion. It means like I love it. I can't always afford it. And I also want to feel comfortable. So I'm living in this comfortable place. I don't know that it has to be one or the other.
Yeah, and I think I need to give more gray space in that. I don't know. I've been racking my brain of why it just matters so much to me. Because like emotionally, it does. Like it really gets to me. But like mentally, on a more rational level,
forget rational. Let's go emotional. We got that. Let's take brain out of it for a second. Just go emotional.
Yeah.
Emotionally, I'm not okay with it. Why not? What happens to you emotionally?
It's not depressed. I feel down on myself. And I think I get down on myself, not because I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I thought I would be. I just kind of always figured I would take in my father's footsteps, and I feel like I'm letting him down in a sense by not. I never hurt for money growing up. And so now that I am, it's brand new to me, and I don't quite understand it. And I think the worst part about that is it's allowing me to realize that subconsciously I look down on people. And I think that's what's hurting me even more, because it's like, I'm always the guy that kicks it with like the janitors and the housekeepers and the quote unquote lower end. And those are always the people that I find to be the most genuine and vulnerable and have the deepest conversations with.
Yeah, not always though, because you're also friends with some at the top.
Yeah, you throw that in there too. And so my spectrum's pretty big. There's no judgment there. Whereas you flip that to friend, I almost always do feel judged with him, even though he's one of my best friends.
I want to dig into that one a little bit. We're feeling a lot of judgment.
Yeah.
Are they judging us? Oh, no. You're shaking your head.
Yeah, not at all. No, everybody's been super happy for me.
The judgment comes from you. What is it?
Again, I don't think I'm that proud of myself.
I'm not that proud of myself.
Yeah. And I think that's why I've been smoking a lot lately. And it's weird. No, it's not weird. It makes complete sense. Nighttime, I hadn't smoked in a couple of hours, and I was sober comparatively. And that's when I really had my emotional breakdown. And I bawled my eyes out for a couple of minutes, picked myself up. Okay, I'm good. Drove back home and then smoked a bowl.
Rewind. When you weren't good. I get the smoked, I was good. Rewind. When I wasn't good, what was going on?
I don't quite know. That was my first apartment. I made a lot of memories there. And I'm going to instantly correlate that to a story I don't think I've told you yet. My great-grandfather that I was named after, I think I was 10 when he died. And so my dad had drove down, went and got his red van, drove it back up. Me and my dad had this red van together, right? It was really me and my dad in this little red Pontiac van. And granted, he also had Mercedes, big house, but we always chose to pick this red van. So one day he comes in right before I was going to bed. And I remember this like it was yesterday. And he's like, hey, man, so we're selling the red van. And I started bawling, absolutely bawling. It wasn't the materialistic van part that I was like so upset about. It was the fact that I didn't think I was going to make any more memories with my dad.
Mm.
And so I kind of feel that same feeling.
You know, we're talking about a loss there too.
Mm-hmm.
Something's ending. There is a bond with you and your dad. And we're placing a lot on your dad in terms of what he thinks or how he views you. And you've said before, I just want him to be proud of me, for me. I'm trying to connect this here. I'm wondering if maybe you can.
I think my dad's always been my superhero in my life. The whole conversation we had about the trauma of being taken from my mom at birth kind of made me think a little bit more just on life and who was there and kind of what happened growing up. And my dad he was always there, but all of a sudden would be gone on work. And so I think the moments when he was there, I cherished him a lot deeper And I hate to say it than I did with my mom because she was always there. And so I think the moments when he did come and take me to a dentist appointment or whatever that looked like meant so much more because it just wasn't normal. And so I think I relate that back to the red band story. We kind of had that bond of like it was me and him. I think at the end of the day, emotionally coming back to that, I think I miss my mom and dad as little Drew right now and big Drew struggling to fight that.
It's a good realization. And I'm wondering if it's not a fight, if we can have a little bit of both. You said it a little while ago, trying to find the gray. So maybe we can be little Drew, big Drew at the same time, because there really is only one Drew.
I think I gave myself space for that yesterday. I've been trying to walk through this, not the right way, not the wrong way. I just tried to walk through this. A couple of weeks ago, we had talked about me texting my mom and what that looks like and how that feels. Been a struggle the last couple of weeks of her not hitting me up. I mean, I needed to talk to her yesterday as little Drew more than anything. And so I broke down, called her crying. This is where I'm at. This is how I feel. I just needed to hear her voice for a second. But then I realized that I am okay. And related to mom too, with the texting, it's been really hard on me too, because I keep texting her here and there when she'll text me. And I always say, I love you so much. Like, thank you for being such a great mom. Like, you're the best. I love you. And she won't say, I love you back right now. I'm not sure why. And I don't know what's really going on with that. And that's where I'm bringing Big Drew into this. I mean, it hurts. Of course it hurts, but it's not making me stay in bed all day. And it's not making me go down a crazy rabbit hole of, is she going to commit suicide tonight? Is something else going on that I don't know about? I'm just kind of leaving it as, okay, I love her as much as I possibly can. And that's all I can do.
There's something to this about Big Drew is one that I can take care of myself. I am an adult. I am self-sufficient. But it doesn't have to be so binary.
Yeah.
It can be, I'm mostly an adult. I can mostly take care of myself. I'm mostly self-sufficient. I still like to hear I love you. I still like to have support. I still like to have people involved. Sometimes I still want my mom. I still want my dad. It doesn't have to be like, cool, I've left the nest. I will never need to be back in a nest, eat another worm again. It doesn't have to be that.
And I think I'm discovering that. Like, I love being my own person, but I love that connection with my dad. I don't feel like I have that space to feel connected to people like that very often. I just haven't seen him in almost a year.
In the same way that it's not all Big Drew. It's not all little Drew. Like, I could want to see my parents, and that doesn't make me a little kid.
Right.
That's the gray. That's a little middle.
Coming back to our last session of trust with my mom, I think that's the biggest thing I'm struggling with right now and what makes me feel the loneliest. I got people in my life, but nobody that I found yet that has been my 911 call. And my mom is still that person that I'll call in that moment when I'm just sitting in the corner crying. I trust her. So I feel like I never fully get to release how I'm feeling, and I keep back a lot. And it's kind of like I band-aid it. I never fully got to the root of what was going on. And I want to bring that into like the bigger conversation of everything that's kind of gone on with me and my mom. I don't ever feel that I've been able to have the space to feel confident enough to tell her how I felt about everything without thinking she's going to go kill herself.
Yeah. You just hit something huge there. You hit a couple things, almost in reverse order. There's still a fear that she will kill herself. There's still a worry that I might have something to do with that. I want her to hear something from me about how this is impacting me and how I feel. And I need to say how this is impacting me and how I feel. I think we need to do that first.
Mm-hmm. And now that that's been said, I think that's why I'm so connected to my dad, because he went through it with me.
No, he didn't.
Okay, fair. He went through it by himself and I went through it by myself. But I feel like I was able to express how I wanted to feel, how I wanted to express how I was feeling to him. Now that I said that, it's crazy because I'm realizing that he didn't give it to me. I just gave it to myself in that space. because I didn't have that fear of him killing himself and jumping off the deep end. You know, that never even crossed my mind.
Yeah. And why I'm pushing back on this a little bit
Yeah.
is that he had his own experience. He was and is her husband. You are her son.
Mm.
It's a different experience. And he's gone through his version of it. And you've said it before in other things, even in business. Literally, I wanted to be his partner.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if we can separate that and just go, okay, what's been my experience? What's my story? What's my feeling? And it's important to say it and acknowledge it. Before we say it to anybody, we just need to say it.
I'm scared. Just saying it, it's scary. I think I instantly go back to my equipment and I want to write a letter and I want to write it all out to make sure I would say the right thing. And like even here, like right now in my safe spot, I feel like it's so deep down there. I don't know how I feel about it anymore. I don't even know what I would say to my mom when I get to that point. Not even if, like I will get to that point.
Okay, I know it's deep down there. It's about just saying it. This is my safe space, okay? Let's say it in the safe space. You've got a lot of feelings about this that have not ever really been safely expressed. How can we even process it if we can't acknowledge it or express it? You've done a version to dad, but it was a version.
Right.
I guarantee you it was filtered. You were younger. The process is not getting it right and then saying it. It's like we've done with a few other things in your life. Being able to say it and spew it all out, get it all out there, and then make sense of it.
Yeah.
That's how we do it, because you don't have just one feeling or like, here's the concise paragraph of what I was going through and what I've been going through and what I am going through.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, there's a lot.
It just brought me back to our very first session. You know, I think my biggest fear and you saying, how does that conversation go? It's I don't know where to start. And just kind of starting with what's fresh. But I think one of the biggest things I do want to talk to my mom about is trust and how much I don't trust her, how that's affected literally every other thing in my life. That's a snowball effect that's really hurt me, made me feel very isolated for a long part of my life. I don't right now feel like I'm going to trust you for a while. And that's the biggest thing to me. It's vulnerability. It's where I thrive. And I feel like our relationship can't thrive even remotely right now because the trust isn't there and I worry and I have no idea what's going on because you guys have really hit a lot for me and see it for myself and that fucked me up.
Yeah. She betrayed your trust. Your mom.
Mm-hmm. Time and time again.
It wasn't just the OD or the other OD stumbling around at a game, falling asleep at a ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Time and time again. She betrayed my trust. My mom.
Mm-hmm. And dad. I want to throw dad in that one too. Yeah. And brother. I'm going to throw brother in there too. The whole family. It hasn't really set me up for very much success in the sense of like understanding what trust is. I think I go either all in or all out. I think my difficulty in where I want to be is giving people that great space of, okay, let me hear what you have to say and feeding it to myself and making my own decision. Like, friend, I trusted him right off the bat, 100%, like with everything. And then you throw in somebody like my old boss I did the same thing with, and then he fucked me over. Mm-hmm. And I instantly was like, nope, I'm done. Don't ever talk to me again. I don't like being like that. I want to make the trust decision for myself, not based on what other people have put me through in my life. Mom, brother, dad, friends, everybody else, regardless.
Yep. That's wonderful that you recognize that, because we talked about that just a couple of weeks ago, the feathers and bricks, right? What you carry around. And what we carry around is a frame of reference. Oh, I've been burned before, so I'm not going to do this again. You don't want to leave yourself exposed to getting hurt, getting burned, having your trust betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to be careful that we don't just close something off. We can be protective and defensive. I don't want you just being a turtle without the shell and just walking around exposed all the time.
Yeah.
But if your nature is, I want to trust, I want to have connections with good people, and you get rewarded when you get that.
High risk, high reward. And that's where my spectrum, my levels of highs and lows in relationships are so off keel. I think I talked to you about the other guy that was over the $150.
Mm-hmm.
And I really let this guy have it over $150. And then I already know it wasn't fair.
Well, and I'll take it one deeper.
Yes, please do.
Okay. You weren't yelling at friend.
Okay. I know where we're going with that.
Where are we going?
Mom?
Mm-hmm.
Can I go one deeper than that?
Fuck yeah.
I think I was yelling at myself. I mean, at the end of the day, I said it the other day too, $150 is a lot to me right now, but it's not the end of the world. And again, relationships are worth a lot more, especially that one is worth a lot more than $150 to me. And so stuff like that adds to that's a brick in my bag that I feel.
For sure.
Because I definitely do feel like that was on me, because it was. Real quick, bricks and feathers, I was thinking about this. My shower here sucks. So there's no water pressure. And kind of at one point it's going to be freezing cold, and then all of a sudden it gets boiling hot, and then it gets kind of in the medium, and you just kind of never know what you're going to get. And so it was our first night here. And so I instantly was going to be like, yo, girlfriend, I'll fix it for you. I'll stand here. I'll adjust it for you. And I was like, this is not my feather. She can take a shower.
Good for you.
Perfectly capable of doing this, and I'm figuring it out.
That's huge.
But I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's you were double thinking about it. It was thinking of feathers and bricks and recognize the feather. Also, the other thing we talked about is recognizing which feathers and bricks are yours and which are not yours. You were already very weighted from friend, from mom. So it wasn't just the feather you were responding to. It was more than that. It was more weight. Shower could have been like, oh, fuck, why can't I just get a nice warm shower? God, this fucking sucks. It could have gone off. That's not the appropriate response to a feather.
Right.
But it's an accumulation of it. When I said, take it one deeper, and you were like, right, I'm mad at my mom. Let me take it one deeper. I'm mad at myself. I would say you weren't mad at yourself. You were mad from yourself. What do I mean?
I want to throw disappointment in there. I'm mad from myself. I can see where the anger is coming from, and I'm disappointed in that anger where it's coming from.
All these things are coming from a similar place that we're holding onto this huge bag of feathers and bricks. We're not yet comfortable on our own.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I say that?
It's I need to allow space for that. I'm so hard-headed and wanting to be my own pillar. It's coming out as disappointment and anger because I want it so bad. I just want to be not independent, that gray area of being independent, but still having such a good relationship with my family. That's where I want to find myself. But I don't know what it looks like because I've only had one or the other. I've either been completely independent by myself or I've been completely dependent on them. I've never been independent with keeping them in my life.
That's the gray. That's black and white and plaid. It's both. It's not one or the other. It's both at the same time. And what does that look like? We're going to find out. We're going to walk that. What is it like to build my pillar of strength in myself and still have support around me?
Yeah.
When you're building like a house and you're building it brick by brick, foundation, you have to stand on a scaffolding to do it.
Right. I think about the pillar thing a lot since we talked about that. And I kind of see it too is I already have my pillar set foundation. It's a soft foundation. It's a very soft foundation. But I do have that pillar set and in place with my family. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the guy with the world on his back, that I can't move from that yet. But I can see where my new foundation is, and it's rock solid. I can see it. I just haven't started building it.
There you go.
My scaffolding's going up.
And that's just it. Okay, I know where my pillar's going. I know where it starts. And maybe I have started to lay some groundwork for it. I think you have, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I need the scaffolding. I need some support. I can't just build a pillar, period.
Right.
You're going to stack the bricks. You'll get to your head. You'll be on your tiptoes. Then what, dude?
Yeah. There right? Call for help.
Exactly. So we build that scaffolding. We have our support system.
Yeah.
This is why, in part, you're in therapy. This is why you have a safe space to talk about this. Part of your support at this stage is just being able to recognize you are holding on to a lot of things that didn't get expressed. It's expressing it from yourself, what it was really like, what it really felt like, what it does feel like.
Well, I think that's the scariest part. Again, I think if you strip it down to being alone and going back and think about how I felt in those, it's a completely different mindset. That's something I want to think about over the next week. Who was I in that moment? Like, how did I feel? I have no idea how I felt.
And remember, go easy on yourself.
Yeah.
At the heart of this, we're looking at little Drew.
Right.
This is who was wounded.
Yeah.
I think this is good for you. For now, therapy is partly your scaffolding. Okay, we'll get there. And we are with you again.
Yeah, we're here. So I think some of the stuff when he said in the beginning, the very beginning, it was like, this is the new normal. Was he talking about like quarantine and pandemic and stuff?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And then, so he talked about just like having a little meltdown while he was moving.
Right.
And then sort of mentioned like, I don't know why I'm here. Like, why am I down here? And I wasn't sure if he meant as opposed to like moving back to where his family is, or if he meant where locations that he moved within LA, or, and because it led into that like conversation you guys had about the 3 questions, but I wasn't sure what he meant by that.
Yeah. I mean, he was saying stuff like, this is the new normal. This is what the pandemic's like. What's the point of me being here right now? Like, I'm not feeling it. He says every now and then, like, I could just go fish and I'd be fine.
Yeah.
That easier life, like a different kind of life. And he was thinking of that in terms of when he said I had a little meltdown when I was moving.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, there's nothing really going on. I don't really know where I want to be or what I want to be doing. And that's where I said it to you last week. I forgot that we had said it in this session, but the Sam Keen book, Fire in the Belly, about who am I, where am I going, and who do I want to go with me? And he's, I think, getting to, and what we got to in this session was the who am I part. As you can tell in the content of the session, a lot of who he is what we were dealing with independently, who he is and what that feels like and what that means to him.
Right. And you brought up like, is who you are defined by who you're with. And he mentioned that he equated self-confidence to getting more of to know who he is, and which I always often talk about with my clients, like having a sense of self, right? That like, we are who we are for the most part. And we've talked about this before, like being a chameleon and having that sense of self. That doesn't mean no matter what, we don't change at all. Like, of course, if I'm at dinner with the Queen of England, I'll probably be a little different than I am dinner with my sister. Although, like, I don't know how different, to be honest. No, I would be, because I would have to like curtsy and stuff. And
you have the ability to not curse as much, but you're still going to be you.
Totally.
So you change a little bit. For him, it's a wonderful thing because that chameleon, for him, his version of that is doing so much for so many other people. And like you say, he even said it, like, I feel a lot stronger when I know who I am. I'm much more confident.
Yeah.
Like, of course, instead of trying to figure out who they want you to be and who they are going to like and where you're going to fit in with them, when it becomes about yourself, and you know that when you do, yeah, that's where confidence comes from. Absolutely.
And I just cannot believe at 25, I had zero sense of self whatsoever. I didn't even know what that meant, nor did I care. I wasn't like introspective. I don't know how people these days, I mean, it's amazing, but I was just like, whatever.
Well, you knew who you were at that time. And maybe the difference that we hear in Drew is this is who he is at this time. He's questioned fashion industry before. He's questioned certain things, but at the core, what he's getting to take out for a spin are his morals and where he feels he wants to be or he wants partners to be, his attachment style and how that is, his sense of confidence. And all of those things are wonderful. But some of the things will change over time for sure.
Oh, exactly. I was just going to say that. I think we talked about this a little while ago, but I love talking about like, you got to own it and taking the power away from someone else or from other people. You just are like, yeah, this is where I live.
Right.
That's it. And I don't have to be apologetic one way or the other.
Right. Two interesting pieces to that for me are sometimes we do that both ways, trying to make excuses for something that's not the way we want to present it or the way we think it should be.
Right.
And when it is, and we try to downplay it so other people don't feel bad. Right. So it can work both ways. It was really interesting. And I was trying to get him to hit the emotional part of this, not just the rational, intellectual part of this. He was saying, I think I'm down on myself because I'm not where I wanted to be or where I think I should be. It's him saying, yeah, I am judging myself. It's not just guarding against somebody feeling jealous or somebody, making fun of you for what materialistically you have, but it's recognizing you're holding that judgment for yourself.
Totally. And guess what, Drew? Just FYI, we are never where we thought we would be. Good, bad, and different. It's just crazy.
Right.
For whatever reason, where I live, what I do, it's just not something I was like, oh, when I was 13, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up. And I just actually never had a picture of where I was going to be and what I was going to do. I just was like, okay, we'll just see how life goes,
Right.
But I've had clients who are like, by 29, I want to be married, be on my second pregnancy. By 32, and I'm just like, okay, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by my age now, I was supposed to be a big rock star with, 5 cars, 4 kids, 3 houses. I don't know.
And a turtle dove in a pear tree.
That's right. A partridge in a pear tree.
A partridge in a pear tree.
I used to think it was a partridge in a parrot tree. Like, why would a partridge be in a parrot tree? That's why that song's so funny. Because it would be a parrot in a parrot tree. A partridge would be in a partridge tree.
Oh, that's amazing. Do pears grow on trees? I guess so. Apple tree, pear tree. Okay.
Parrots grow on trees?
Pears.
Oh, pears.
Partridge and pear. Anyway, so back to the little red van story. Touched my heart. It was so cute.
Oh, yeah.
It's feeling like it was a connection. I think I didn't think about it this way until I heard him say that, or I heard you guys talk about it. But when my mom sold the house that we grew up in the Hollywood Hills, I was 25 and I was torn apart. My sister and I were so sad. We always wanted to have that house in our lives forever. And to this day, we'll drive past it sometimes and just be like, oh my God. And I never thought about it as that connection. And I think that would always be home, right? Like, we come home, that was our home. But then when your parents move, it's like, is this home or is my apartment home or is that home?
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's a different connection.
Absolutely is. And I love that we are a therapist and we get to talk about this because this is, to me, object relations theory 101. Winnicott was the guy that came up with this and the idea of transitional objects. And if that's a lot of clinical speak, let me break it down for you this way.
Please do, because I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, a transitional object is something in object relations theory, but forget the clinical words. It's like having a blankie or a stuffed teddy bear. It's something tangible that's an object that can be grasped, that you can feel, and it reduces the feelings, the stress of separation and the anxieties of separation, and it soothes.
Right.
As an infant, I'm talking about early things, right? As we grow, we still have transitional objects. We still look for those. I mean, it's why even people after a breakup of a relationship look for a rebound. It's in a way a transitional object, and some people will go to something that soothes them because they don't like the feeling of separation, right? And especially if you're talking about somebody that's got some abandonment issues or attachment issues, then they will really seek out some kind of transitional object because they want that sense of oneness like they got with their very first caregiver experience, their very first mother experience, that oneness. That's why I said a few weeks ago with Drew, and he even mentioned it in this episode, that birth is the first trauma because it's a separation.
Yeah.
So we're looking for something that we can grasp, we can hold on to that reduces that feeling of separation.
Yeah. I may or may not have brought my teddy bear with me last night when I went and slept at my stepdad's.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we do that in so many forms, and it's not a bad thing.
No.
These are things that soothe and comfort us because there is separation. So we do get attached to these objects, or we get attached to the attachments.
Totally. Yeah. And even after when my mom passed away, I have so many things of hers that I'm never going to use these. But like, they're staying because they were hers, and it helps with the loss of attachment.
Absolutely. Telling the story about the little red van, I thought was great because it was exactly that. And it represented your bond with your dad. And I loved being able to do it this way. I said to him at this moment, like, well, I'm trying to connect this, but maybe you can help me out here. Maybe you can do it. Because I didn't want to just give it to him. I wanted to see the connection he was going to make. And man, he said a line in here that was like such a great line. He said, yeah, I think my dad's just always been the superhero of my life.
Yeah.
He's talked about it before, trying to live up to his dad, trying to do things the way his dad did. And at the top of the session, judging himself for not being where he thinks he should be, almost based on that.
Yeah. He talked about missing his mom and dad as little Drew, and the big Drew is struggling with that. And you brought up, like, you can still want your mom and dad. You can still want we're mostly an adult, but we're also still a kid. We'll always be our parents' kids, no matter what.
Right. It's something that is so cool. You talk about it all the time when you say, oh, there's the dialectic, right? It's having two different emotions, two different feelings at the same time, not all black or all white. It is black and white at the same time. That's what makes it gray. Yeah. You can be big Drew and little Drew at the same time. You can be independent and separate from them and still want your mommy, want your daddy.
Totally. Yeah. You talked about not really having his 911 call, which,
right.
And I absolutely do. And it just made me sad. And obviously he is best friend, or he has his dad, but he said it was always my mom, and he doesn't trust that she would be there because she's not.
Yeah.
That's when you guys sort of started talking about him having a conversation with her at some point. And even you bringing that up in the session, I mean, it was such a poignant, if you will, reaction when you said, okay, well, just say it. Like, what's your experience? What's your story? He was like, no. He was like, I'm scared. Yeah. And he said, deep down, like, I don't know what I would say, actually.
Yeah.
You guys walked through it and talked about it some, but I think he's not trusting yet that he could tell her how he feels, because what if she goes and kills herself?
Yeah. It's interesting because even if you remember the very first or second session we had in the first or second episode we did, he said he's worried about his mom listening to it.
Yeah.
You know, which she hasn't. She doesn't know he's doing this at all. He hasn't told her.
Right.
And part of it was him feeling what he just said, you know, what you just kind of highlighted. Like, I don't think I can ever tell her how I feel about things without, you know, thinking she might kill herself. Like, it would devastate her.
Right.
And what we've been kind of working towards is his independence and separation from her responses, from her reactions, and relieving him of the responsibility of that. It doesn't mean now he's going to be like, yo, mom, check it out. I'm on this podcast and I was trashing you in episode 6, 12, 14, 22, 23. And, you know, it's not that.
Right.
It's being able to recognize what his feelings are. As I said it, we talked about it. Like, let's say it out loud first.
Right.
There's a few things that he was getting at here. It was really cool that he was saying, yeah, mom betrayed me, and maybe that's why I leaned into dad, because he had the exact same experience that I did.
Oh, right. Like, no.
Right. And I love that moment as a therapist, because now we have the relationship where I can do that and just leave that there.
Totally.
If I was just starting out with him, there's no way I would talk to him like this. No way.
Right.
When he said, yeah, my dad went through it with me and we're working on independence. We're working on his story. That's where I was like, yeah, no, he didn't. He goes, well, he's the only person. I'm like, no, he didn't. He was like, yeah, okay. Right. I went through it by myself. And then, yeah, it was by yourself. And let's look at your story and what that is and what that means. And it was interesting to hear him talking about what he wants to say to his mom and almost saying, I almost want to write a letter to make sure I get it right.
Right. And as he was talking in session, he was saying it. I don't know if you even realized it, but he was saying, and I don't trust you and this and you. And it was like, he literally was saying it to her. Right.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't like, this is what I would tell her. And then third personed it. He just started like,
yep.
So that was super cool. And what I thought was really amazing was that he talked about trusting people and not trusting people and ended up saying that he really wants to make decisions based on the moment and the person and the present, as opposed to like based on his past experiences.
Right.
I thought that was really insightful. And it's like his friend that he said he like tripped out on or had a big reaction to about the $150.
Right. If you remember, that was last week where, the friend asked him to do some work for him. The friend put in $150. Drew put in a lot more of his time and some of his money. And then the friend was like, yeah, I changed my mind. I want my $150 back.
Yeah.
And what was cool is as he and I were talking about it, I got to highlight like, yeah, when you went off on that friend, you weren't mad at him. Let's go one deeper. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah. Like you weren't yelling at him. Like, right. We're going deeper. And I'm getting at, yeah, you were yelling at mom. And he goes, well, can I go one deeper than that?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm yelling at myself. And he puts the realization together that, yeah, the $150 is a lot, but I care more about the relationship. Like, yeah. So what I'm realizing as his therapist and hearing him come to this is, oh, yes, you are recognizing that what you're yelling at is relationship, is attachment.
Right.
Is not one dude saying, yeah, I want my $150 back.
Totally. Yeah. He said it was like the last brick or the last feather or whatever, the final straw.
Last week when we were saying like, look at the feathers and bricks and recognize what's yours and what's not yours.
Right.
You, Mer, were even like, I'm interested to see how he thinks about it. Well,
he brought it up again.
He did it. And he even said like, sometimes he'll say like, side note here or like, real quick right here. But it's his thought process coming out. And he was like, yeah, feathers and bricks. And it seemed like a non sequitur. And why I throw in like all these analogies all the time and pull these things is because it helps us see our patterns come out in some of the smallest things.
Totally. It's amazing.
He had a great realization when he mentioned the shower at his new place.
Oh, that was so funny. Like he just didn't have to, he was like, I'm not going to take care of my girlfriend. She can do it herself. She doesn't need that. Like, yeah.
Right. He mentioned it with the, the side note about the feathers and bricks. Like, here's something where it was just a feather and it wasn't even my feather.
Yeah.
How cool was that?
And he thought about it in the moment.
Right. Which was amazing. We go to these places unconsciously because they're so deeply ingrained.
Yeah.
And how I say to people all the time, we can rewire. I'm like, oh, really? I don't know. Like, here it is. Here's him rewiring.
Yep.
In that moment, he said, I instantly was going to be like, yeah, I'll fix it for you. No problem. And then I realized it was a feather. It's not even mine. Yeah. She can take a shower.
She can take a shower on her own, hot, cold, or whatever. Yeah. It was great. I loved hearing that.
Right. And that's recognizing it in real time. And then he goes to the pillar.
Yeah.
How he wants to be his own pillar.
Yeah.
And he's feeling that not solid ground that the pillar's in. And it's so cool that he's pulling the analogy himself.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of going off on this. And what we're getting at is being able to have support and being able to not just be independent, black or white. I don't need my mommy and daddy. I don't need anybody. I can do it all myself. We don't have to do that. And kind of going, all right, well, if you're going to build a house from the foundation up, you need a scaffolding. You need support. And man, he took to that. It was great.
So good. I wish I could remember all of these analogies like in the moment. but I only remember them when I listen to you guys. So, oh well, maybe the more I listen to you, the more they'll stick. Speaking of that, guess what I did once? I shut down my computer once. You did it 3 times?
I did it 3 times. I texted you once. I texted you.
I know. It was so good. And when you texted me, I thought about it and it was like evening and I was like, nope, I'm in bed already. I'm not going to go shut it down. It wouldn't count anyway.
Right.
But I did it once.
How was it?
I felt good about it because we had talked about it so much.
Right.
And I wanted to follow through with something that I was trying to do. And it wasn't like it changed my life at all, but it was this like unconscious, subconscious little thing that I could easily recognize what a difference it would make over time, or just acknowledging that it's okay to do that.
Yep. Same. And I did it 3 times. And for me, one of those times was really annoying. I think it will turn out to be a good thing in the long run. But the 3 times I shut down, cool. Like, all right, I'm shutting down. I'm winding down. I'm pretty much done for the night. Like, I'm cool. It's fine. And I probably will give myself credit and think I cheated when I go, oh yeah, but I still have a smartphone, so I can do everything on there, right? Because for me, it was, I'm going to pick up a guitar and just play it. I'm working something out going, oh man, that's a cool idea. Oh yeah. Oh, and I had a lyric idea. Like, great. And I pop open my laptop without thinking and just realized, oh, right, it's shut down.
Ooh,
it would take too long to open up a file of lyrics and put that into it.
Right.
So I had to pick up a pen and write it down on a piece of paper.
Ooh, God forbid. You know, I love pens and paper. That's amazing though. How cool is that?
Right. And likewise, when I woke up that morning and the other 3 mornings when I did it, normally like, all right, I'll just throw open my laptop and just kind of see what's going on, check my emails. Like, it would have to start up. So instead of just popping it on and being right there, like, oh, it's going to start up. All right, let me make some tea. Let me chill out.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So it slows the pace down a lot, which was really cool. So I highly recommend the shutdown for people. It's a nice thing if you can do it.
Don't shut down, double down.
That's right. Wait, no, don't shut down unless you're a computer. Double down unless you're in Vegas.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Love to hear how you guys see the feathers and bricks around you and what's going on, what's yours, what's not.
Yes.
Yeah. And as I said, we're going to have Drew listen to probably an episode that he hasn't heard. I mean, he's listened to maybe the first 1 or 2, but he doesn't listen. That's
going to be so cool.
And we're going to do like a little retrospective of where he is now and what's going on. Yeah. I'm stoked for that because it's really getting him to hear his real growth.
And he's going to hear all of our witty banter. So that's, I mean, so exciting for me.
That's right.
He knows how witty you are, but come on.
Oh man. Yeah. He and I will break down our breakdown and then we'll break down our breakdown of our breakdown.
Yes. I'm so excited. Yeah.
And we will we'll be around next week.
Bye.